Cincinnati Bengals, Week 1's top upset victims, so now they have to see how good they are at rebounding. May need to call in Dennis Rodman because they are off to Kansas City this week to take on the reigning Super Bowl champs. Off to a good start thanks to this little piggy going to the market.
Oh my goodness.
That's a toe. By a toe, the opener looks like it'll go to the Chiefs, because this will be game over.
Wild way to start the year, the basics. Bengals secondary taking on what seems to be your standard Patrick Mahomes. Lots of big throws at important times, one touchdown, one bad pick. 290-plus yards, rating over 100 versus a tough Ravens defense.
Mahomes double clutch in traffic and caught on the run, Rashee Rice.
On the other side, Chiefs defense taking on Joe Burrow, who looked very undued in his first 2024 game. Cincinnati's offense 4 for 11 versus New England on third down. Paltry 164 passing yards for Burrow, 5.7 yards per attempt. Reminder, 7 is average. Rating under 90.
Burrow downfield over the head of Irwin in the end zone. Incomplete.
Burrow has to bounce back, but will he have time? He was sacked 3 times by a New England defense, missing its top pass rusher.
Burrow steps up, and Burrow is crushed at the 34 by Keon White.
Cincinnati hopes to get rookie right tackle Amarius Mims back. He missed last week, as did wide receiver T. Higgins. Jamar Chase, the only Bengal pass catcher who comes into this game with more than 30 yards. He went for 62.
Burrow, open man, Jamar Chase.
Burrow and company facing a Kansas City defense that held its own on every front but one last week. They had trouble with Lamar Jackson runs. He racked up over 100-plus yards on the ground against them.
And Jackson running with guards pulling, and Lamar taking off, propelling himself to the 5-yard line.
That's not Burrow's game, though he is mobile and he may need to be this week. Pass rush matchups on the inside, Cincinnati's interior lineman versus Chris Jones. He picked up a sack versus Baltimore, and if you watched, he gets double-teamed pretty much every play, likely the case again this week.
In trouble, ball is out. Jackson nearly fell on it. It's still loose at the bottom of that pile. The pressure came from Chris Jones, and Kansas City has recovered.
Cincinnati's tackles versus Kansas City's DN combo, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis. Neither dude got home versus Baltimore. As for Chase and maybe Higgins, they go up against KC's cornerback quartet, Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, Chamari Connor, all held their targets in Week 1 to a low 80s rate or below. Reminder, sub 90 is good stuff.
Brought down by McDuffie. Trent McDuffie's one of the best in the league. First team All-Pro.
Kansas City's linebacker Nick Bolton gave up a big TD versus Baltimore to Isaiah Likely. Likely, the guy who they struggled with most Week 1, almost to a fault.
Likely inside the 5 to the end zone.
Bengals roll with Mike Gesicki and Tanner Hudson at tight end, both under 20 yards last week, and Hudson was the one who fumbled at the goal line. As for the run game, Chiefs defense gave up a touchdown to Derrick Henry, but they held him to 3.5 yards per carry, just 46 yards.
Henry to the right, not going anywhere.
Now they take on Zach Moss. Productive enough last week, just not a lot of use. 9 carries, 44 yards, almost 5 a run, plus a score.
It's a handoff to Zach Moss. Takes it in. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Kansas City's running back, Isaiah Pacheco, knows how Moss feels. He's also the afterthought in most games. Only 45 yards last week, just 3 yards per carry. He did score.
Pacheco. The fight continues. He falls into the end zone. Touchdown, KC.
Bengals defense, though, has to shore up things against the run, or Pacheco could see an uptick in action. Cincinnati gave up 120 yards to Ramondre Stevenson, 4.8 a carry and a TD.
It's Stevenson. Touchdown.
Still, Kansas City's O-line does more pass blocking than run blocking, expecting more of the same this week. Mahomes got good protection versus the Ravens. Most of Kansas City's Molly Wonkers would take another showing like they had versus Baltimore. 28 pass attempts, they only took 2 sacks. Only one of them was pinned on their 5.
Underneath throw, and there it is. They've hit Rice again.
Bengals pass rush built around their DN combo. Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, neither made it home last week. Stopping the pass, though, wasn't a Bengals issue. Held Jacoby Brissett to 121 yards passing, a 75 rating.
Brissett throws off the hands of Osborne.
Bengals didn't allow 35 yards receiving to anyone on the Patriots. Obviously, the challenge this week is a tad bit more challenging. The matchups when Mahomes lets it fly. Cincinnati's free safety Von Bell, linebackers Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson. That dude had 13 tackles last week, 3 QB hits and a TFL versus the cutaway king. Travis Kelce started his year relatively quiet, 3 catches, 34 yards.
Fires on the run to Kelce to the 30-yard line.
The cornerback wide receiver battle. Let's see Cincinnati's Cam Taylor-Britt on Rashee Rice. Rashee went for 100+ yards in week 1. He was Mahomes' go-to, 5 more targets than anyone else.
Mahomes in the middle, Rice on the run again. Rashee Rice, 19 more yards.
Cincinnati has to have a good tie fighter in their cornerback ranks. Someone has to cover KC's X-wing. I guess that's what we're going with. Xavier Worthy made quite the debut.
No more worries about whether or not Kansas City has any speed. Beep, beep, here he comes. Golly.
I mean, he didn't drop the Death Star like a Womp Rat or anything, but that run and then a TD reception, he has to be on Cincinnati's radar.
Fires, running, Xavier again, Worthy for a touchdown. Number 1 has 2 tonight.
We all remember the big playoff games these two have played in the past few years, so how about we go further back? Let's pick the lock on the NFL vault real quick.
The Chiefs' young defense next ganged up on the newly born Cincinnati Bengals.
This right here, the first ever game between Cincinnati and Kansas City, 1968. Chiefs won it 13-3. Not sure why they thought whiskey was just for Saturdays, though.